Cheryn Fasano, Major General, Joint Transportation Reserve Unit Commander and Mobilization Assistant to the TRANSCOM Commander. I joined the Army when I was 17 years old, and it was not something that I chose, not something I ever saw myself doing. My father had been active duty Army officer for 21 years, and my mother was an Army Reserve officer, and she went between active duty and the Reserve over her 28-year career. They thought that the Army Reserve was a wonderful opportunity for their oldest daughter, me, and my mother tried to convince me every day for my 16th year that the Army Reserve was what I needed to do. I told her no. I'd grown up in an Army family. It was not something I was interested in doing. I came home from school one day when I was 16, and I found an Army Reserve recruiter sitting in my living room. I asked him what he was doing there, and he said, "Well, I'm here to sign you up for the Army Reserve." Went and found my mother, told her again that I was not interested in joining the Army, and she said, "Fine, you don't have to join, but plan on finding a place to live after you graduate high school and go ahead and give me the car back now." I was convinced. I signed up for the Army Reserve that day. Ended up being the best decision I ever made in my life. I thought that I would do my 6-year obligation in the Army Reserve and I would get out, but I discovered that I loved it. I loved the camaraderie. I loved the mission. I loved the sense of purpose. And when I got back from AIT and I enrolled in college, my first stop was at the Army ROTC department. I went through the program and got commissioned as a second lieutenant, and I've never looked back. The Army gave me opportunities to continue my education. So I have a master's degree, actually 3 master's degrees. I have never paid for any of them. I have 6 or 8 really great Army professional development schools that have enhanced my knowledge, expanded my knowledge, and has certainly led to a very successful career. And it's something that I encourage anybody to do with education, always learning, always developing, and you'll find success that way. My military career has been very diverse. When I first got commissioned in 1989, we were in a pretty calm time. We were in the Cold War, but there was really no danger of anything going on that the Reserve would be called forward for. So the first 12 years of my officer career, there was never any danger, and then 9/11 happened. And I wanted to do my part and found ways to do my part. I deployed to Iraq for a year. I found an opportunity to go on long-term orders at U.S. Army Europe, and I was chief of the movement's tracking branch under the G4. I was able to go forward to Bulgaria as a task force S4. I got mobilized in support of Army North during the COVID time. In between then, I was in training divisions. I had some commands. I was primary staff. Sometimes I was active duty, sometimes I was traditional reserve. It's been varied. So if you think you come into the military and there's a defined career path, that's not the case. It will be very diverse, just like mine was. I never thought I would be a general officer. First, I didn't even really know what general officers were. I never talked to a general officer until I was a lieutenant colonel. They were always out there somewhere. There were not people you talk to, and if you tried to talk to them, you would get your head lopped off. I knew nothing about being a general. What I did was find the hard jobs and do my best to excel at them, develop relationships, and I would have been perfectly happy to retire as lieutenant colonel. It's a very, very successful career. And then when I got picked up for colonel, I was a bit surprised about that and took the opportunity to have brigade command. I thought that I would come out of brigade command in 2019, which was my MRD year, and then I would retire. Then I got a call in 2018 that said, "Congratulations, you're a general officer." I applied to be a general just because I was told I should, and never expected to be picked up for it. But I'm extremely grateful to have been picked up because I've been able to extend my career even further than expected. Yeah. The reserves contribute quite a bit to TRANSCOM. It's not just about the 200 or so reservists across all 5 services that plug in directly to the directorates within USTRANSCOM, but it's the tens of thousands of reservists across all services who are in support of the TRANSCOM mission every day and would be in support of TRANSCOM mission in time of war. TRANSCOM would not be able to complete their mission successfully without those contributions of the reserve force. We need to be there ready to go at a moment's notice in order to fight and win these nations' wars. Reservists are important to TRANSCOM because they fill out the directorates, and when we move to 24/7 operations, that would not be possible without those reservists coming in and taking over those responsibilities, whether they're on the GOC floor or they're within one of the other directorates. It just allows a lot of flexibility and allows TRANSCOM to scale up everything that they're doing in order to support the mission. There are challenges to being a reservist. Although it's considered a part-time job, it's really full-time responsibilities. We don't show up on UTA weekends and then just do our job. There are other things that we're doing throughout the month, whether it's phone calls in the evening or doing continuing education, professional military education. On top of that, we have full-time jobs, we have families, we might be in school on the civilian side, and it becomes challenging because you're trying to balance everything. You want to do it all well, and sometimes we feel like we can't do it all well. The JTRU has been a part of TRANSCOM for 31 years, and they're integral into everything that TRANSCOM does. Under a single commander, the JTRU are 4 service element commanders responsible for their own formations. The JTRU provided direction, coordination, and responsiveness to both the services and to USTRANSCOM. What the reservists do will not change. They'll still come to UTA weekends, they'll still be integrated within their directorates. You know, what they do doesn't change. The centralized concept of it, having a 1 or 2 star commander was really for coordination purposes. What I'd want to say to the past and present members of the JTRU is I'm exceptionally proud of the work that you've done. I know for 31 years you've delivered to USTRANSCOM. I've heard nothing but positive comments from the commanders and the directors on all the hard work that they've done. I would also like to say that seeing what they've done personally over the last 2 years, from standing up the COVID response cell to integrating right into their JADERs in order to respond to the Afghanistan evacuation, to the Ukraine delivery, and now as we support Israel. I am very proud of all the members of the JTRU, their selflessness, their skills, and their knowledge. And I think that they'll continue to deliver to USTRANSCOM.